What's going on? Welcome back to XY on the Fly. Glad you're here. Glad you're joining us. Maybe for the first time, maybe again.
And I'm sure you can figure it out. We're going to be dropping these once a week. So hope you're subscribed. Hope you click on the like button. Or if you dislike it, click on that. At least we'll know you're there.
Every Wednesday. That way it gets that's the hump day. That gets them through the rest of the week.
There we go.
Midway point. So I got presented with a question and kind of blew my mind. So I'm going to ask you.
Wait a minute. Did you want to, you said you had an idea about what oh, no, you covered it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Go ahead.
How do you feel about mobsters? What's your take?
I feel like I need to keep them at a distance.
That's your answer?
I need to keep them at a distance.
Like old-time mobsters. Like, what's your idea of them?
I mean, they're so glorified now that it's hard to say. I know one big-time mobster, long since dead, but he helped my grandfather out. So I think they did a lot of bad things, but I think they also did good things.
Yeah, so we still hate the Clintons, right? That was my reaction. I was like, well, all right, that makes me a hypocrite. But yeah, I hate the Clintons.
Oh, yeah, I guess all mobsters are evil. I got nothing good to say about them. Even the one that helped my grandfather. The true story behind that is, and I'm sure if I mention my grandfather, you can figure out who this mobster was. My grandfather was having a hard time getting his retirement checks from the city. And he called this guy. My grandfather knew him and never had any problems after that.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool. All right, but yeah, when I got presented with that question, I kind of had the same response you did. And I was like, well, all right, that makes me a hypocrite. Okay. Yeah, got to change up my answer there. So.
Yep. Yep. I thought I had somewhere I was going until you mentioned the Clintons. Then I was like, yeah, no, evil. Evil.
All right, so let's change up the pace again. So yesterday, got done at the gym last night, pressed 450 pounds on leg press, and that was after doing squats, and I'm very happy with that because even when I was in the Navy and I was working out, I rarely ever did leg day. I was one of those guys. Well, this time around, I refuse to cheat. I refuse to skip a muscle group just because I don't like it, and I'm definitely appreciating the effects of it because with me working out legs, I've noticed that the rest of my body is getting stronger faster as well. And that brings me to the next thing. If you're into physical fitness or you're wanting to get into it, make sure you're doing it right. Don't cheat yourself and don't give yourself false expectations. Because the next person I'm going to mention, Liver King, if you don't know who that is, he is a big-time health, physical fitness influencer who is in pretty hot water right now. He's actually facing a $25 million lawsuit. I don't know if it's actually taken effect yet, but it's looking like that's where it's heading because he lied about his success. Like he swore up and down that he was natural. Obviously, if you're into physical fitness and you're looking at this guy, you know he's not natural, so you know better, but there are people out there who are who want to get in shape. They don't know which direction to go, so they see this guy who's, full of positivity and saying, you can do it, this is how it's done, so they follow this guy not knowing that he's lying straight to their face, and he's finally, it's finally out in the open. Some emails were released where he was spending around $12,000 a month on steroids.
Freaking insane.
Like that blows my mind. And I'm not knocking steroids. I'll be honest with you. If I knew of a trustworthy individual, like if I knew of a trustworthy place to get them, I would do some cycles because I would love to get some size like that. But I guess where I'm going with that is, listen, if you do them, don't lie to people. Do not lie. Just yep. I'm not natural. I'm not natural. Like, why lie to people?
That's why I like that guy who does the YouTube shorts. I don't know who he is, but he goes around to gyms and he finds the really big people and he asks them, natty or not. And some of them are real honest, and I appreciate that. And this is where Chris and I had a little disagreement. I'm thinking the people going for the $25 million, they should be the ones who have to pay money. To be that naive and to look at a guy like that and believe that he's natural is just beyond comprehension. But then Chris shot an example back at me, and I said, oh, yeah, okay, I could see. If you're a newbie, like he said, and you don't know anything, and all of a sudden you see this guy promising all these results by the healthy eating and all that stuff, I could see where you would get caught up in that. But as I like to point out to my buddy in West Virginia, he's put together a nice home gym, but he's never really been a lifter. And I keep having to remind him that lifting is a marathon and not a sprint. These guys think they're going to start lifting, not my buddy, but other people. They think, like they got 12-inch arms, and they think they're going to start lifting, and in a couple months, they'll have 17-inch arms. Never going to happen. Oh, let me rephrase that. Maybe with steroids. But if
I
you're
got close.
From
So
12?
when
when
I first joined the Navy, I was a soaking wet 145 pounds, and I started working out, and obviously I was eating a lot better too. Instead of eating just one meal a day, I was eating 3 meals a day. And so I got off of my first deployment at 155 pounds, and I was stronger. I wasn't really measuring. I just knew that I had 12.5-inch biceps. And then, so the first deployment I got off, I weighed 155 pounds. So, 10 pounds of muscle right there. And then the second deployment, I weighed 175. And I couldn't get past that. So I started, seeing what these bodybuilders do, minus the roids. And most of them in their off season, they sit around and they get fat. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I know how to be lazy.
Yep.
So I started eating all the junk food that I can think of and being as lazy as possible without actually getting in trouble in the military. Like, I would still get my job done, but I wouldn't go the extra mile like I normally did. And I got up to 235 pounds. And I was like, okay, now it's time to start working out. And that's when I started working out like an animal. And, I had 16.5-inch arms. Completely natural. I didn't.
From when did you start to when was that? How long?
Oh yeah, that was a good long while. I think 2 or 3 years is what it took. I might have been able to get it faster if I was a little more dedicated, and I don't know. But yeah, it does take time. It does take time.
Yeah, and when you're on YouTube, just use a little common sense when you're looking at all these fitness people. There are some that are very knowledgeable, and you can tell by looking at them, probably very natural. One who pops into my mind is Sean Nella. I'm going to butcher his last name, Nalawane. Definitely, he's been lifting 15, 20 years, maybe even more, and he's just got a great physique. But it's not the kind of physique where you go, oh my gosh, he looks like a monster. No, he looks like a guy who's dedicated 20 years to lifting, and when he cuts down, looks really good. And like he says, if you're seeing somebody on YouTube and they're shredded all the time, they're doing something to help themselves, because that is not just something you can't maintain that. First off, it wouldn't be healthy. And so there are some good ones out there. You use your head a little bit. There was one guy caught with fake weights and stuff, but still the information he gives is really, really good. And he's not a monster either, but he stays shredded the whole time. So does he have help? Most likely, but his information is good. So just use your head and quit. If you understand weightlifting is a marathon and not a sprint, then you'll get yourself to where you're just looking at yourself. And you might be taking some information off of YouTube. Okay, I want to add this to my lifting or take away this and put in this. That's really all you should be using it for. Don't judge by another person's physique or whatever, because you're not them and they're not you. So
Yeah.
just stick with it.
And everybody's different. I mean, what works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody else. I know that for like the longest time, I was spending a long time in the gym, and while yes, I was getting stronger, I could see the effects and everything, mainly in like how much I could do, but I wasn't getting any size, and I was really going for size, and everybody was like, yeah, just keep at it, you'll get there, and it just wasn't working. And then I did a little more research and found out that, well, there's some individuals who only work out for 30 to 45 minutes in the gym, and 45 minutes is like a long time for them. So I was like, you know what, let me give that a shot. And that's, for me, when I started seeing the biggest effects on how much of a physical difference my body was having. And so what works for me or what works for him doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. However, eating healthy across the board is going to work for everybody, just because, I mean, that scientifically makes sense. But yeah, when it comes to weights and what you're doing, try and switch things up. Don't be afraid to try different things. If you're not seeing the results that you want to see, like, switch it up a little bit. And then also the other thing, there's a toxic trend going around. I just used the word toxic. That was weird. Anyway, there's a trend going around where people in the gym are like making others in the gym look like creeps for just glancing over, and it's ridiculous. Stop doing that. Like, I don't understand why people do. Like me, when I'm in the gym, now granted, I go pretty late at night to where there's like nobody in there. It's pretty much normally just me and my buddy. But every once in a while, there are people in there, and it's a natural thing for me to just glance over at them. There's a couple reasons I do that. One, maybe they're doing something that interests me, and I want to try that out. And then the other reason is I'm glancing over just to make sure everybody's still good, because there was one time I was in the gym. I was by myself. Well, there were other people up there, but I was working out by myself, no lifting partner that day, and I was doing chest, and I used to use false grip, and I had 185 pounds on the bar, and I was repping it, and I didn't even feel the bar leave my hands, and it slammed down on my chest, and that hurt pretty bad, but I was trying to get it off of me, and I couldn't. I started to get the one side, and fortunately, a little time went by. It might have not been as long as I felt like it was, but this guy came over, and this dude was huge. I think he used his pinky to lift it up off of me. But yeah, that just kind of changed up like how I do things now. So like I'm constantly like I'll glance over at people just to make sure they're still good, because God forbid something happens to them. You know, if I'm able to, I'm gonna go over there and help you, like lift it up off of you or whatever needs to happen. But yeah, I don't understand why people are. It's a natural thing to glance at people.
Well, here's the other thing. I have a home gym, so I'm not dealing with being at the gym. But men, we're men. This is XY on the fly. We're men. If a girl is lifting and she's got her ass hanging out of her tight little shorties, guess what? I'm going to look, because that's what men do. If you're so worried about people looking at you, don't dress like that, and don't come off with, well, that's my freedom to dress like that, because you're right, it is your freedom, but then don't get upset when people take a look at you, because that's what you're looking for anyway. So then why are you doing those videos except...
Oh, it's because the right person isn't looking at them. That's what it is. Like, honestly, like they wear that stuff because they want people to look, but if it's not the right person who's looking,
then it's a complaint.
Yeah, then it's a problem.
Yeah. Anyway, go to the gym, do you, enjoy yourself, and if you're going to dress really skimpy, that's okay, but don't get upset when people take a look. I mean, it's going to happen. And those of you who don't dress skimpy and you think somebody's staring at you, look back at them. If they don't turn away, then they probably are staring at you. If you do look at them and they turn away, they might have not have realized they were staring at you. Sometimes that just happens. You're just looking in that direction. And most of you know, any of you who lift weights, sometimes your mind is just, it's just kind of like blank, and you're just concentrating on what you're doing. And another thing, to help maybe some of you who are just beginning, if you have small wrists like myself, my wrists are smaller than my wife's, you're not going to get gargantuan. It's impossible. You can put size on, and the main goal is, as you get older, like I said on the last thing, I'm 60 years old. When you get older, you want to be able to walk standing up. You see a lot of people in their 50s now. They're all hunched over. You don't want that. You want to be erect. You want to feel good. I have a serious back injury, and if I don't do what I'm doing, I would be one of those guys hunched over, because it brings relief to the pain in your back. But just take care of yourself. Keep going forward. Quit looking at other people. Look at yourself. I mean, you can look at other people just for motivation, but look at yourself and notice your own improvements. Take pictures when you start. Take a 6 weeks later, then 3 months later, and you will see dramatic improvements. And one other thing, when you're trying to get in better shape, you do have to watch what you eat. Unless you're trying to do it the way Chris did when he was younger, get fat and then build it up. But that takes a lot of discipline too, because a lot of times you put on weight and you can't get rid of it.
Yeah, you have to. That was one of the things that, like, you have to stay motivated. Like, I was insanely determined to make it to where I lost that weight and made it look good, and I successfully did it. I'm not really sure how I did it so well, because 9 times out of 10 I skipped leg day. I was a goof, but you live and you learn. But I've always kind of had big legs just because from ice hockey and everything like that. But so it wasn't like I was swole up top and had these little chicken legs. I've kind of always been pretty well balanced. So now I'm really excited to see what happens with me doing legs now and seeing where I go with that.
When I was in the Navy, guy who knew me, Petty Officer Hoffman, I was on the one side of the DRT table, so you can only see from about little below your solar plexus up. And he was looking at me, and then I walked out from the DRT table, and he started laughing, and I was like, "What are you laughing at, man?" He goes, "Dude, you got this big body up top, and then you got these little old chicken legs." And that's what changed my whole trajectory, and I started working legs. And unlike most people, I love working legs. I'm not super strong. I just love doing it because it's so hard and arduous that you just can't help but notice and feel the results. You can do, like when you do a lot of bicep curls, sometimes it's really hard to get that pain that you're looking for. But legs, yeah, just do a few sets of squats and no matter what, you're going to have leg pain.
Yeah. I think that's why I hate it so much, because legs do a lot more than what you think they do. Like, obviously they support you when you're walking around. And so that's why it's a love-hate. Like, I love being sore after the gym. But when it comes to legs, that soreness lasts longer. And even though I'm not, the way I work mine, when I get done, the first day I can tell that I worked my legs. The second day is pretty darn bad. Then the third day, for some reason, is horrible. And when I'm walking, I don't feel like I'm walking normal. I feel weird when I'm walking. So any chance I get, if there's a reflection of me, I look to see if I'm standing properly, because I look like I'm walking around like a nerd. And fortunately, every time I look in the reflection, I look like I'm walking normal, but I don't feel that way. I feel like, I don't know. And then when your legs just randomly kind of just go, yeah, we're done, and they give out on you while you're walking. And then my job has stairs, and stairs are my enemy after leg day. So Yeah, that's why I have a love-hate. The rest of the soreness, it doesn't really bother me because I can,
I think legs helped me because when I was young, my friends used to say, "Dude, man, you walk like you got a corn cob up your butt." Which I looked at myself. I didn't know I was walking any different than they were, but I guess I was. So now that I'm older, if people say, "Hey, man, you're walking like you got a corn cob up your butt," I say, "No, I just did squats," and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool."
there you go. There you go. Speaking of weirdness, what are those machines with it? Most guys won't use them. Me and my buddy, we don't care. It is working a muscle group, and I'm not going to let an insecurity like that affect physical fitness. I'm not going to let it get in the way. Yeah, I don't know what it's called.
Wait, I was just going to say, what do you call that thing?
I don't know. I need to look at the machine.
The lady looker.
But yeah, it works. They got the two machines, and they're actually like facing each other. The weights are matched up against each other. But yeah, one of them you spread your legs, and then the other one you bring them together, and it just works a muscle group that you can't really get to with. Like
it's funny you mention that because when I do leg extensions on my machine now, when I'm extend, I noticed up by my groin area, there's like on my legs looks like a little bit of fat, and I always said I would never do that machine, but now
start
I'm
doing
looking
it, yeah.
and going, I probably need to do that machine.
Might want to start doing it.
Except I don't have it at the house.
Well, you're talking about getting a membership.
Yeah.
So there you go. And if you're that worried about it, you can get the 24/7 pass and go when nobody else is there.
That's when I'll use that machine.
That's when you.
I mean, come on, be honest. It looks a lady doing it. We don't even question it. A guy doing it, we're like, hey, you're using the lady piece of equipment.
Yes, doesn't even bother me. I don't even care because it's working a muscle. So I'm going to switch back over. So we had a comment in our last podcast about the EV motorcycles. And so this is where I'm going to take a hard stance. I'm against anything EV. The Prius is a smart idea. You got the hybrid. It's not full-on electric. That makes sense. But, these full electric vehicles, I want nothing to do with them. That is not the future. It's not sustainable. It makes absolutely no sense. So when it comes to electric bikes, that's a hard no for me. Absolutely not. Obviously, I'm not going to be a jerk to somebody who owns one. Like, if there's somebody around here who winds up with an electric bike and, we cross paths and, they're like, hey, you want to ride? Yeah, absolutely. We can go ride. But, yeah, no, it's a hard pass for me. And I'm also not going to be like, don't expect me to invite you on any long rides because that's not happening. And if you think you're going to go on one, you've lost your mind because, there's some long rides that me and my buddies go on. And if you think we're going to sit around for 20-some minutes just so you can get to 80% charge. Nah, that's I'm sorry, that's not happening. So, yeah, that's a hard no for me. No electric motorcycle for me. I don't understand if you are into motorcycle. There are some guys who are like, yeah, that's awesome. First of all, there's numerous reasons why I love riding. One, the sound.
Yep.
You cannot match the sound of a bike. It is just so the rumble, the scream. It's so alivening. Is that a word? Alivening? It is now.
We'll make it one.
You heard it here first. So yeah, and then the fact of when I'm on my bike, I want to ride. I want to get out and go. There's a lot of times when my buddies are like, hey, you want to go out and putt around town? This town is not very big. No, I don't. Like, I want to hit the road and just go. So if I'm doing that, the last thing I want to do is sit and wait for that thing to charge back up. I'm not doing that. Like, that makes absolutely no sense. The only time it would be acceptable, but then I'd have to plan road trips like this and I wouldn't get to go as far. Well, when I stop and eat, just plug it in and there's your charge time, which is fine. That makes sense. If you're going to do that, you can do that. I think you're a knucklehead, but go for it. I want to ride. So that's...
Well, here's on the sound. They'll eventually do what they've done in Teslas and hook it up to the computer.
Yeah, but you're never going to get the speakers are never going to be loud enough.
Oh, yeah, that's
like
true.
Borla.
That's right.
Borla, who makes exhausts, they partnered with Ford for the Mustang. Wow, the Mustang Mach-E. They made a speaker exhaust, and to me, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. People talk about people not being real anymore. Like, everyone's so fake. Now even the cars are fake.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah, you
can't
do.
stand it.
I didn't think about that. They wouldn't be loud enough, and they wouldn't. Listen. Here's my gripe, and of course we're trying not to be political and we're trying to have fun. We said we would touch a political thing once in a while, but the little kids they're putting down in those very, very dangerous positions to come up with your little bit of what is that? Lithium. That right there. And granted, I know it happens in everything, but when you can see it as plain as day, something needs to be done about it. And, to act like we care so much about children in this country, which we know so many don't, because they'll kill a baby right up till after it's born. But anyway, that's neither here or there. I just can't go for something where I see so much pain being inflicted on young children while they pay them their $1.10 a day, and then they sell that crap to us for. If you got one of them electric cars, man, and your battery goes bad, I'm going to tell you what, you'll end up buying 2 cars because that stuff is expensive.
Yeah. Yep. I can't tell you how many times I've had something that's electric and just the battery just quits working.
Peters
Like,
out.
and what are you going to do? You either got to replace the battery or you got to replace the whole thing. And sometimes it's been things where you can't replace the battery. Like, it's over. Yeah, so I don't understand. And then there's people who are like, well, as technology progresses, they're going to make it to where these cars, it takes no time at all to charge them. I don't believe that. I don't think it's possible, because if that's the case, how long have our cell phones been out?
Yeah.
How long have we had cell phones with lithium batteries? And still takes a good while to charge them up from almost dead to a full charge. Still takes a bit of time. And you're talking about a phone. It's smaller. It's more compact. It doesn't have as much demand coming needed on the battery, if that makes sense. I don't even know if I said that right.
That makes sense.
But and then you want to turn around and say that a car or a motorcycle battery, like, it'll get faster. No, it will not. And if it does, it's probably going to have a lot of problems. Like, a lot. I don't see it. It's not going to work.
The sad thing is that these people doing that stuff, they think they're helping the environment, and so I can't knock them for that. I mean, they think they're doing a good thing, but now you're seeing Teslas carry gas generators.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Oh,
Come
to be
on.
fair, the guy who did that, I appreciate it, because that generator is super loud.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
It's got that exhaust on it. It's great.
Hey, my generator at the house can power my whole house, but I've got it chained and locked to a pillar because they're expensive, and I don't want the stupid thing walking off, but I know everybody around me knows I have it because I have to start it up once a week. It is so freaking loud. It's insane. When I get it started, I go inside because I don't want to be sitting out there listening to that thing.
Maybe I'll get you a muffler for it.
Yeah,
Weld that bad boy on.
Some guys have built like soundproof sheds, and they must have some type of ventilation because those suckers would overheat easy.
Yeah.
So,
I
that
could
would
do
be-
some research. I like building
Yeah,
stuff.
if you
so
want to build me a soundproof shed, that'd
Yeah.
be awesome.
I need to build a soundproof box over there so I can actually record my music.
There we go.
So that's my plan. I'm gonna make a little spot over there. I don't even think it's gonna be a full booth. I think I'm just gonna build like a box for my head to go in, and so
yeah, that
I
would
mean,
work.
cheaper and easier.
would work.
But yeah, those are my plans. So yeah, we're trying to keep the new shows. The first one that we did was pretty long, and if you watched it all the way through, hey, appreciate it. You have more focus than a goldfish. I appreciate you, and that says a lot about you. So we're trying to limit our shows now to 30 minutes, and like he said earlier, once a week. We're going to try and get these out once a week. So, yeah, we thank you guys for tuning in, and we hope you enjoyed it. I think next week I'm going to talk about semis. I think we need to have a conversation about that because in my job I drive a lot. I used to drive semis. I don't anymore, but I still drive all over the state, and there's some things that need to be talked about. So, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it. Peace. Peace out.
Oh my God, this is the squad, yeah. Hero